Breaking news just rocked Viking Nation, and the tremors are about to expose secrets that will change how you see this franchise forever. A former defensive legend is spiraling out of control with the law breathing down his neck. A mysterious rookie quarterback is quietly building a reputation that has coaches whispering about the future. Injury updates are creating last-minute drama that could determine the entire season. A childhood photo reveals the most ironic twist in recent NFL history. And a released veteran safety could solve Minnesota's biggest long-term problem without costing them a single draft pick. Each of these 5 revelations pulls back the curtain on what's really happening inside this organization. And by the time we dissect every shocking detail tonight, you'll understand why Monday Night Football against Chicago represents more than just a season opener. It's the crossroads where past mistakes, present opportunities, and future championship dreams collide in the most unexpected ways. Viking Nation, are you prepared to discover the hidden stories that the mainstream media refuses to discuss? Because the first bombshell involves a beloved former player whose life is unraveling in front of our eyes. But before we dive into that devastating downward spiral, let me ask you something that separates the loyal from the casual fans. If you believe this Vikings organization deserves better than the chaos surrounding former players, smash that like button right now and show the football world that Minneapolis stands for excellence both on and off the field. Because what I'm about to reveal will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about life after football, accountability, and what happens when fame and mental health collide in the most dangerous ways. The first story centers around a man who once terrorized opposing quarterbacks for this franchise. But now he's the one being hunted by law enforcement in a pattern of behavior that's becoming impossible to ignore. Everson Griffen, the former Vikings defensive end who recorded 85.5 career sacks during his decade in purple, was cited for reckless driving and speeding when a Twin Cities police officer pulled him over for allegedly driving 130 miles per hour in a 60-mile-per-hour zone on August 29th. According to the incident report obtained by Vikings on SI, police made a traffic stop on Interstate 494 near Stone Road in Minnetonka at 10:07 p.m., with the traffic stop completed at 10:38 p.m., citing the driver for reckless driving and going 130 in a 60 zone while driving his 2020 Bentley Bentayga. But here's where this story gets absolutely heartbreaking, Viking Nation. Griffen is currently on probation for a DWI conviction stemming from an arrest in 2024. And his latest incident comes after he was jailed for probation violations between July 19th through 24th this year for allegedly failing to comply with random drug testing and failing to follow probation instructions. His DWI sentence required him to complete a DWI assessment and, quote, follow all instructions of probation, unquote, including no alcohol or controlled substances except prescribed medications. But the nightmare doesn't end there, folks, because Griffen's July arrest came just days after he was allegedly kicked off a Delta flight from O'Hare International Airport in Chicago to Minneapolis for, quote, unruly behavior, unquote, though Griffen has denied acting unruly. Remember that Griffen was involved in multiple mental health incidents in 2018 and 2021 while playing for the Vikings, and in 2021 he opened up about his mental health struggles and his diagnosis of bipolar disorder. Viking Nation, this isn't just about traffic violations or probation issues. This is about a man who gave everything to this franchise and now seems to be fighting battles that extend far beyond the football field. How do we balance our love for what Griffen accomplished as a player with the growing concern about his well-being and public safety? And what responsibility does this organization have to former players who clearly need help navigating life after football? And just when you think the quarterback room couldn't get any more interesting, here comes a revelation that has coaches and scouts buzzing about hidden talent that nobody saw coming. While everyone focuses on JJ, McCarthy's development as the franchise quarterback, there's another signal caller on this roster who's quietly building a reputation that has veteran observers talking about genuine NFL potential. Max Brosmer, the undrafted rookie out of New Hampshire and Minnesota, has not only survived roster cuts, but has firmly established himself on a developmental track that has the Athletics beat writers taking notice. Jordan Rodrigue wrote, quote, one thing about going to training camps that is underrated, listening to a really good group of beat writers talk about players. coaches love. And in Minnesota, one of them is Brosmer, who made it through cuts and a reshuffling of the backup quarterback position, and now is firmly on a developmental track with the Vikings, albeit low on their depth chart, unquote. But here's what makes this story absolutely fascinating. Alec Lewis added, quote, "There's something real here. Maybe it's a 10-year career as a backup. Perhaps it's more, unquote." Think about that for a second, Viking Nation. We're talking about an undrafted rookie who spent most of his college career at New Hampshire before transferring to Minnesota for his final season, and now NFL evaluators are seeing legitimate potential for either a decade-long backup career or possibly something even greater. Brosmer gets to learn from Carson Wentz, who serves as a direct backup to McCarthy and can provide veteran teaching to both younger quarterbacks in the room. If the Vikings have already unearthed their long-term backup to McCarthy, that represents incredible value from an undrafted signing. But if they've discovered a player who could eventually be traded for assets or even become their next starter in a less predictable future, that would qualify as a crucial development that changes everything about this organization's quarterback depth. For now, Brosmer develops quietly behind the scenes, but don't forget his name because he could matter significantly down the road one way or another. How often do teams find legitimate NFL talent in undrafted rookies? And could Brosmer represent the kind of hidden gem that championship organizations discover while everyone else focuses on the obvious stars? But that's not the only fire burning inside this franchise, because what comes next might determine whether this season starts with championship momentum or devastating setbacks. The injury updates that dropped Wednesday afternoon have created last-minute drama that could reshape everything about Monday night's showdown in Chicago. And the decisions being made over the next few days will define how this entire season unfolds. Christian Darrisaw has done everything right in his rehabilitation process from last year's major knee injury, giving himself a real chance to protect J.J. McCarthy's blindside for the season opener. But head coach Kevin O'Connell made it clear that decision hasn't been finalized yet. O'Connell explained, quote, he had a great camp, checked every box from a workload standpoint. Building into this week, he'll practice today, always with CD, just with how committed he's been to taking the daily approach. We've done the same with him. We're going to progress forward and be smart, but we're going to give him every opportunity to practice and then see how he feels. And ultimately, in regards to his availability, we'll make that decision as the week progresses, unquote. Remember that Darrisaw suffered a torn ACL and MCL last October 24th in Los Angeles, and Monday will mark approximately 10.5 months since that injury, on the shorter side of recovery time from such a substantial injury. But Darrisaw represents a rare athlete even by NFL standards. He returned to the field during minicamp in early June when few expected it, then ramped up participation levels throughout training camp. O'Connell revealed that Darrisaw is going to take most or all the reps at left tackle with the first team offense during Wednesday's practice, saying, quote, he looks really good. I think he surprised even himself early on in training camp as we begin that crafted plan by Tyler Williams and the doctors and Christian himself. He's had some really good progression days where we've been able to stack it up, and we're in game week now. He's going to take a lot of reps today, if not all of them, and then we'll see how he feels, unquote. Meanwhile, Harrison Smith is back at the team facility and participated in Wednesday's walkthrough while recovering from his, quote, personal health matter, unquote. But he won't practice yet. O'Connell explained, quote, the hope is we can ramp him up. He's back in the building and meetings and building up his workload for the week. So we'll see where he's at throughout the remainder of the week, unquote. Viking Nation, having Darrisaw protecting McCarthy's blindside would be enormous for the young quarterback's confidence and the entire offensive line's effectiveness, while Smith's veteran leadership anchors a secondary that needs his experience against Chicago's weapons. How crucial are these final injury decisions to the team's championship aspirations? And can this medical staff thread the needle between player safety and competitive advantage? And if you thought that photo was just a cute throwback, wait until you understand the cosmic irony of Monday night's matchup that has destiny written all over it. Sometimes the universe has a sense of humor that defies all logic, and the image that surfaced this week proves that J.J. McCarthy's NFL debut represents the most perfectly scripted storyline in recent football history. A photo from Chip Scoggins of the Minneapolis Star-Tribune shows McCarthy at his very first NFL game when he was just 4 years old. And here's the twist that will blow your mind. He's decked out in Chicago Bears gear while watching the Bears host the Vikings that day. Scoggins captioned the photo, quote, "This is J.J. McCarthy at his first NFL game. He was 4 years old. The Bears hosted the Vikings that day. Monday night will be a full circle moment for McCarthy and his family," unquote. Think about the beautiful irony of this situation. Viking Nation, a 4-year-old boy wearing Bears colors watches Chicago play Minnesota, probably never imagining that 20 years later he'd be leading the purple and gold into that same stadium as the franchise quarterback tasked with beating his childhood team. McCarthy will certainly be rooting for the Vikings on Monday night as he looks to pick up the first win of his NFL career against fellow 2024 draftee Caleb Williams, creating a quarterback showdown between two young signal callers who represent the future of the NFC North. But here's what makes this story even more compelling. McCarthy grew up 30 minutes from Soldier Field, and now he returns to that building where his NFL fandom began. Except this time, he's wearing purple instead of orange and navy, leading an organization that's built everything around his potential to deliver championships. The kid who once cheered for Chicago will now try to silence that crowd and announce himself as the quarterback who can finally bring Minneapolis the Super Bowl that's eluded this franchise for decades. How often do childhood dreams and professional destiny intersect in such a poetic way? And does this cosmic connection give McCarthy extra motivation to dominate against the team he once loved? And listen, what I'm about to reveal next could solve one of this organization's biggest long-term problems without costing them a single asset. While everyone focuses on immediate needs and current roster construction, a player just became available who could represent the perfect solution to a looming challenge that's been keeping the front office awake at night. The New England Patriots shocked the NFL world by releasing safety Jabril Peppers on Friday afternoon. And this move could fall right into the Vikings' lap as the ideal way to eventually replace Harrison Smith without spending draft capital or salary cap space. Peppers was a former first-round pick of the Cleveland Browns in 2017 who signed a 3-year extension worth up to $25 million with New England after 3 excellent seasons, playing so well that Pro Football Focus rated him as one of their best players at the safety position. But here's where this gets interesting for Minnesota. Peppers was due $4.5 million, but there's likely offset language built into his contract that allows the Patriots to recoup salary cap space, creating the exact same situation the Vikings experienced with Daniel Jones last year. Remember that the Vikings signed Jones to the practice squad and paid him just $127,000 because the Giants picked up the rest of his contract. Considering Pepper's situation mirrors Jones, the Vikings could sign him to a minimum contract with the same strategy. Get him acclimated and evaluate if it's a good fit for the future. Peppers has the athleticism and profile to be extremely effective in Brian Flores' defensive scheme, with his ability to crash downhill becoming invaluable when the Vikings want to play big dime with 3 safeties, something Josh Metellus already does well. Now, Peppers being 30 years old might concern other positions, but safety doesn't carry the same age-related limitations. If you maintain good athleticism and plus instincts, you can play the position well into your 30s without significant issues. Having Peppers would allow the Vikings to focus their draft resources on cornerback, the position that desperately needs to be addressed, while providing insurance for Smith's eventual retirement. If it works out, Minnesota can sign Peppers to a moderate contract to pair with Metellus and Theo Jackson. If he doesn't want to sign with the Vikings, his departure could potentially help them recoup a compensatory selection for the 2027 NFL Draft. All this would likely cost is the veteran minimum for either the active roster or practice squad, making it worth a phone call regardless of the outcome. And if this week felt like a roller coaster of chaos, revelations, and opportunity, what's coming next could be the defining stretch that determines whether this franchise finally captures the glory that's eluded them for generations. Think about everything we've uncovered tonight, Viking Nation. A former defensive star whose personal struggles remind us that football success doesn't guarantee life success. A hidden quarterback gem who could represent the future beyond JJ. McCarthy, injury decisions that will shape the entire season's trajectory, a cosmic connection between McCarthy's childhood and his professional destiny, and a free agent opportunity that could solve long-term roster construction without costing valuable resources. These aren't random coincidences. They're the interconnected storylines that define championship organizations versus franchises that remain stuck in mediocrity. Everson Griffen's troubles serve as a sobering reminder about supporting former players through life's challenges. Max Brosmer's emergence proves this organization knows how to identify talent others overlook. The Darisaw and Smith injury situations test the medical staff's ability to balance risk with reward. McCarthy's childhood Bears fandom adds poetic justice to Monday Night's showdown, and the Jabril Peppers opportunity demonstrates how smart front offices capitalize on other teams' mistakes. But here's the question that will define everything. Can this Vikings team channel all these emotional undercurrents into championship-level performance when the lights shine brightest? Monday Night Football against Chicago isn't just about beating a division rival. It's about proving that this organization has evolved beyond the heartbreak and disappointment that's defined previous generations. If you believe that Kevin O'Connell has built something special, if you trust that Brian Flores' defense can dominate primetime, if you know that J.J. McCarthy has the mental makeup to handle the pressure of expectations, then smash that subscribe button right now and join the Viking Nation faithful who understand that this season represents more than just football. It's about redemption, destiny, and finally delivering on decades of unfulfilled potential. Because when McCarthy throws his first touchdown pass Monday night, when Christian Darisaw opens perfect protection lanes, when Harrison Smith makes game-changing plays despite his health concerns, you'll remember exactly where you were when this championship journey reached its tipping point. The real question isn't whether this team has talent, it's whether they can handle the weight of expectations that come with being built for greatness. And the next 17 weeks will reveal if this generation of Vikings can finally break through the barriers that have held this franchise back for far too long.